Alright guys, welcome back. Another video. I'm just sitting here, pulling my baby apart, tying up the cables. Big dismantle session. We'll see what this video brings. Alright, so I'm just tidying up the cables. They're going to be in the way for quite a while, so just do it nice and neat. Down the back, I've just sort of decided I'm going to make a triangle panel here so I can get in and get all this sorted out. I can also, I've done a test run, I can reach up to the exits from the inside and feed the cables through. I've taken the turnbuckles off, so now I can roll the fuselage around. Tail wheel will come off soon. I'll be able to sand this down now nicely as it's creaking and moaning. Something's loose there. That's interesting. I don't know why that's creaking. So, tidy up these cables. I'm going to put the wheels on the aircraft purely so I can wheel it around. I've stored my wings. Wings are over there. Another set over there. Just waiting for someone to walk past, and I'll put this wing, hang this wing up on the wall where I said. And just got to make stuff up as you go, I guess, as to what happens where. I've got a concern, as I've discussed. I'm going to cover up to here. Maybe I should make this part now. Am I good enough to run a bit of wood the whole length to this strut? I reckon we probably can. Once it's curved, it has a fair bit of strength. So stand by on that. This needs a coat of epoxy. Anyone got any good tips on thinning epoxy? I guess you just use thinners or something, I guess. So I'm going to use West Systems epoxy, but I want to be able to brush it on. So I just want to thin it down a little bit. I know if you heat it up, that's okay, but it goes off a bit quicker. Yeah, and I'll just tidy up my wire bundles. I got an email from Aircraft Spruce. My crosshair turnbuckles, they're about a month away, I think, on back order, which is unfortunate. I'm going to put the fuselage on its side, and I'm just looking. I can probably lock wire the undercarriage turnbuckles, and what else? Yeah, split pin them and that sort of thing, get that sort of finished. But it'll go on its side. We've got to make a bottom fuselage, cover the floor on the outside, which is just going to be aluminium, I think. We'll go with that. So we're outside in the wind, got the wheels on her. Just a couple of Adele clamps with a metric bolt at this stage. We've got her outside. I'm just sanding the love handles off. If you remember, we discussed the love handles. So I'm just going over with my straight edge. I want 100% coverage, so I want it to touch the fuselage and then also wrap around and touch the top. So where it's proud, it's slightly off where the black line is. So I've just got this last little bit to sand of the love handles, and this side will be done, ready to cover.
What? We was on the ground, I'd say.
Oh. No, let's pick it off.
I've been watching it, I heard the sand stop.
Alright, got my West Systems epoxy system. 5-to-1. Mix up a bit of that. I sanded all this yesterday outside, obviously. Then we'll give it a nice coat of epoxy. That'll need a day to dry, at least in this weather. It's only 6 degrees. I'll get up underneath as well. Then I want to flip it on the side and make a bottom floor panel. Very therapeutic, just going along with my epoxy and laying it on. Nice little job this one. Good for the soul. All right, on a dark, gloomy day, I've got all that epoxied. What I did, I ran an old aero modelling trick. I got the paper towel, usually use a toilet roll, paper towel, and I just wiped the puddles off to get most of the resin. You have the pooling or puddling resin. It may look a bit thick on the video. It's pretty shiny. That'll flash off. Smells nice. I even did underneath. I thinned out underneath just to get it on a bit quicker and a bit easier. And rolled up my seat belts. Now I'm just looking at how the covering's going to go. The bottom's fairly self-explanatory. Well, it's not actually. If we start with the bottom, I was going to come up and wrap around here, but then it means I need a huge panel, so I think I'll get underneath and have a look and probably fabric up to the undercarriage. So you'll see fabric there. I'm not sure how this Stewart system, well, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen is it'll be light blue on the inside of the covering. And the reason I know that, have a look over here. I've got a test piece. Here's a bit that I cut apart, and on the inside is pale blue. Now you can probably paint that, because what's going to happen after we're all said and done, we'll sort of end up with that on the inside. Might worry about that later, not too sure. There's my colours if you haven't been following along. For the fin or the rudder, red trails, what I keep telling myself, like up here, the red trails. Now interestingly with that, when you open the tin, it looks like pink lipstick, like pink, it goes red. So I have to look underneath. Also the sides, so the side's going to finish here. Because I've put those L brackets on, I'm not sure, I guess I have to try and tuck the covering through there and wrap it around this way rather than, I don't know, do I trust my L brackets? And then I don't want the covering just to move the Adele clamps. So the tube's not going to move. So I think what I'll do is slip the covering and stuff it in that hole, and then I can get in, there'll be covering here, but I can get my hand in and glue that back edge and glue this front edge to give me the 1 inch coverage that I need, I guess, all the way through this slot. So it'll have 1, 2, 3 slits in it, just 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch slits. Same up there. Now this becomes interesting down here where the attachment is, because the film's going to finish here, and I've got a plate. So the corner, you run it past a bit. I can get a little wrap at the bottom, about 1 inch. There's only about a 1/4 inch gap there. And I guess I just glue so the film or the covering would come along and then glue it to this. Is that going to be good enough not to pop off and get a nice pucker happening here? Do I put a bit of plywood there? Probably wouldn't hurt, would it? Glue a bit of plywood, sort of fill it, just to give this bit of film something to attach to. I'll slit the film as if I was covering right past it. It still means a slit on this side. Anyway, you see where I'm going with that? Not too sure, just that 2 inches there, how that's going to pan out. Right, just been over and bought myself a bit of sheet metal off the local company here. Bit of 20 thou, 2024 T3 L-clad. That's going to be my belly pan. So now I just need to, I think I'll fold it, crease it, maybe twice, just to give it some strength. And I'll make a template. I'll make it straight on here, I think. and we'll get that fitted underneath. I really need to roll the fuselage on its side. I'll wait till someone walks past. Got the jobs stacking up. I need to hang my wing and roll the fuselage onto her side. Probably take the wheels off for that. Alright, she's on her side still. Top deck all varnished up. Completely missed one, that's to be expected. I'll touch that up tomorrow. I still need to, underneath here, I've just been playing, teaching myself how to lock wire turnbuckles again. So I went with a single wrap method. I did one, it's time to go home. Got all these blocks on. I ran out of hardwood. I just cheated and used a bit of 2B1 for the last couple of bits. Wood's getting expensive nowadays. So this will get a coat of epoxy resin tomorrow. I'll make the sheet of aluminium. And then I think it's ready to, we'll start covering a few areas. Like the covering will come up here and probably needs wood there to glue to. That'll make sense tomorrow when I get these clamps off. Had a few issues just working out, in the middle of nowhere, just trying to glue a bit of wood on. So anyway, we got there in the end. So that's all good. Come back tomorrow. All right, got my blocks all glued on. I've made my marks. Won't mean much to you guys, but it means to me so that I can recover those blocks in there. I think what I'm going to do now, I've got my floor panel. I'm going to tape it on. Maybe I should crease this before I drill it. Because a flat bit of metal's. Anyway, have a think about that. It's also going to shrink it. I've cut it to sort of size now. Panel will go on. Also, if I crease it, I guess it's not going to sit flat, is it? We'll do it flat, guys. I might just crease the edges. I'm going to sticky tape it on so it's flat and tight and right. Then we'll drill it. Sort of need to drill it and then, drive the self-tappers in, I think. I'll pilot hole the self-tappers. Just thinking out loud now, I'll set a little depth thing on my drill so I don't go through the floorboard, and we'll go from there. We're looking good. Going to mix up some epoxy. I missed a whole stringer there yesterday, just this one side. Still a little bit tacky. Yeah, still a little bit tacky, not too bad. It is on like honey. Take a few days to dry properly. Alright, the Clecos appear to be holding for now, just into my wood blocks, which is good. Now I always look at things and think, how many times do I have to do this? So I think it warrants a jig. So I've just made up this piece here, which will, I haven't tried it yet. Find the edge. I know my wood is 35mm in because I've written on here, 35mm, and from the front edge as well. So now, because I have to do several, I don't know, 20, 30 holes, I've just got a nice 35mm, and it takes in my flange that's overhanging, which I'm going to knock around. So I'll just go along, mark my spacing, 100mm, 150mm, whatever works out. I've marked where there's voids, and yeah, it's pretty busy on here, but I've sort of got things under control. A little depth thing on my drill so I don't go through the floorboard, and we'll get this on. Going well. Alright, so all Clecoed on. This is where I double back a bit. So I'm going to remove, I could just upsize the aluminium sheet and drive the self-tappers in, but I think I'll spend the time, I'll pull it off, have a quick peek at the plywood blocks to make sure I've hit them and I'm not just on the edge, or I've drilled through a steel tube or something silly. I know I haven't, because you'd feel that. But the reason I've done it in 16th and with Clecos, just to give yourself a second chance. So if I need to move the holes for argument's sake, I've only got a 16th hole to fix or leave or put a rivet in, whatever. So I'll do that. Yeah, the temptation is just to drive the self-tappers in and call that done, but slow and steady wins the race. And there you go, all the holes are nicely in the middle of the blocks. Even these ones, I've got those ones right. So we're good. This panel will stay off now for the covering. I've added these blocks in here, thinking that the covering can come up, and I've got an edge to glue the covering to. I'll just skip this bit, or it'll be a 1 inch, to wrap around the tube. So I'm always thinking about making it easy for myself. I put these triangles in purely for the covering to glue to, just to help it around the leg and then on the edge, because the covering finishes right there. Alright, I'll pull some of this stuff off and put in some self-tappers. I'm also going to run, I don't know if I mentioned it, in the corners I'm going to run 4 bolts, just purely so that the sheet can't rip off and land in someone's backyard. I'll put 4 bolts in. That way, if the self-tappers fail, it'll just flap. It won't actually depart. Well, hopefully it won't tear off the aircraft. So instead of doing a heap of bolts, I'll do 90% self-tappers and 4 AN3 bolts in the corner with a penny washer. All right, she's back on her wheels. Got the epoxy underneath. Nice, missed a few spots. It's to be expected. I need to wheel it down now, tee up the welder. I'll get a foot peg welded on here, I think. Welded on there, sorry, look at the camera. Still tiniest bit, no, it's pretty dry today. Ready to cover. I've moved on to the fin. Done some rib stitching there. The other side, we'll bandage that up tomorrow. Just looking at the rudder, I just cut a 2.5 inch spacer. I'm just coming in, decided just to come in an inch from everything. Right there, come in an inch. Then I just draw all the lines, 2.5 inches in the prop wash, and the back sort of just, the last one just ends up what it is. I'll just mark these ones. It's time to knock off. Tomorrow when I come in, I'm going to bandage this up. I'll drill the holes first and then we'll bandage it up, get it ready to cover. I'm not going to start with a semicircle, but I'll get the tailplane down and we'll do that. Okay, I've come in the next day. Magically, my aeroplane's moved back a foot. Oh, what's going on there? She's heading for the door. She wants to go flying. Might have to chock it a bit better next time. That's funny how it's just moved. Maybe the tyre pressures have changed or something. Right, I need to go to the welders. Before I get stuck into the covering, I need to work out where I want my foot peg. I basically do all the work. I'll make a little kit and then drop it off at the welders and I'll get them to weld it on. I'm not sure if it's going to be strong enough. Also the fuel tank. Now it gets a bit frustrating. I ask other people, hey, how'd you hang your tank? Oh, I just bolted it to the tabs. Well, I've got no tabs. Feels like I've got an inferior product again. So I'm trying now to think ahead and have one more visit down to the welding shop, scratch off all my epoxy paint. So I need 4 tabs on the bottom or the top, doesn't really matter, probably on the bottom. 1, 2, I'll work out where they need to go for the fuel tank, each side. Then I'm going to use all thread, drop it down, hold the tank up. Seems like a good idea, gives you some adjustment. I have got tabs at the front, luckily, for the firewall. So 4 tabs there, a foot mount, and I think that should be it. It's looking good. The epoxy's dry. It's going to be a nice sunny day today. I might still put her outside just to let it get a bit of sun. And then I'm going to go back. I just want to make sure I'm in the mood and got the mojo happening for covering. I don't want to sort of start and then, you know, go on holidays or something or whatever. I want to complete each part. This time of year, you know, we've got up around 80% humidity, 10 degrees, moisture and all that sort of thing. I'm going to read up on what I need to do, and yeah, make some brackets, whatever. We'll get onto that. All right, so I've got the rudder and fin. You can see where I'm going with this. Just clean those up nicely, make a house for my covering. I keep going on about that. Drilled and deburred all my holes. I'm going to clean that, wrap it up in the anti-chafe tape, and that'll be ready to cover. I'm not going to start with the curvy part. Same on this guy, just had the one, I don't know if it's needed, but I put rib stitching here, big open area. Can't wait to get the Sopwith on Thames text all in there. Now I'll do the same on the elevator. Pulled the elevator down. I've also been up and I've got to make a step for the side. Got this nice airfoil shaped bit of chrome moly. It'll get welded on with a little end cap. Also, I'll get 4 tangs out of that for my fuel tank, and I've got some steel plate for my crosshair wires at the front that go over the machine gun. So we'll redo that at some stage. Let's rip this elevator apart and drill some holes, make some more of those gussets, and get into it. All right, she's had a day outside sunbaking. Not bad. Looking good. I finished up the elevator with all the holes. My nice pieces around here, surface area. Rounded all the edges. Horizontal stabiliser, stab, rudder and fin. I think we're nearly ready to pull out the fabric. It's knock off today, I'll just clean up. One job I have got to do, the belly pan that I made. I'm still trying to get the plastic off that. Does my head in, this stuff, but the plastic, that's the deal. If you come and talk to me, you've got to stand there and do this while you talk to me. I've got the other side to go yet. Yeah. I got my parts. Well, might have mentioned that before. Chrome moly pieces. Clean up. Let's get out of here for tonight. Okay, good landing starts on downwind. So a good covering job starts with a bit of prep. Sanded the bench, bit of brown paper on top. I just want the fabric to freely move around when I cut it. Probably write a little checklist on there. I want to remind myself to drill the holes. You know, things like drill the holes, do the fairings, tighten bolts, and tape them up. Just a little note. There we go. All right, back for another day. I probably don't say it much, but I'm really enjoying the build. I know I whinge and carry on a bit, but I've sort of got a bit of a process in mind now. As I keep saying, from here back, I'm going to get that complete. I'm going to have the nice... So my vision is olive drab, linen colour on the bottom with a 1 inch sort of, it'll come around 1 inch and be olive drab. So I'll just spray the bottom with overspray and then bring the olive drab down to the mask. Roundel, square, F2024 being 2024. I'll do a couple of little lift here symbols, and that's pretty much it. Red, white and blue, or blue, white, red on the rudder. The fin is definitely going to have the Sopwith Aircraft Company Sopwith on Thames, I think, Kingston on Thames logo on the fin. I might just do that white, so I think my linen colour's a little bit off. If you look at the pictures up here, you can see how it's sort of raw linen as opposed to sprayed white, but I think I'll just run with the white and we'll see what happens. So basically this sort of thing here, interestingly with the olive drab, sometimes it looks brown, sometimes it looks green. I've just chosen ecology green, I think it is. You've seen my test piece in previous videos. So I'm not going to overdo the detail, I guess. Sometimes less is more. I'll see how I go, whether I put a stripe or a letter there. There's a couple I like, but I don't want to copy. This one here is sort of famous. It's flying in New Zealand. You know, I could do B2, but I don't sort of want to. I do like it's a bit of work, but do the black letters with the white trim. I may add those. Just depends how vast it looks, you know, the expanse of olive drab, and how I'm feeling after masking these areas, you know, how good my masking is going. I do own a computer cutting machine. I think I'll just make this a transfer, a sticker, a decal. I may spray some of them. Definitely paint the roundels. I know the full size, this was all done by hand, but it's easy to get it perfect with a sticker. So, well, I could take it to the sign writers, but save a bit of money. I might play with my colours. I'm just not sure. We'll go with white to start with and see what happens. Getting ahead of myself there. So I'm just playing. I've been down the shops. Bargain of a lifetime. Have a guess how much for an iron? $7. That's Australian. South Pacific pesos. So I bought two of them. I bought a spare for $7. Oh, that's fantastic. So I've just calibrated my iron with a little Azito heat gun. So I've got, this is all in Fahrenheit, 370, 300 and 250. And I've marked, just drawn on the iron, let it sit there for 10 minutes on each one. This is like it's like a fast heat up iron actually. It's pretty cold today. We'll go to the weather. The weatherboard, 16 degrees in the hangar. Feels a bit colder than that. Now I also got a, what do you call it, a sanding belt rubber. So it's just rubber, like a gummy stick if you like. What it's used for, it's supposed to be used for, is cleaning the rubbish off your sanding belts. Stewart Systems recommends this for if the paint balls up. You can rub it off rather than use a razor blade or try and sand it off, because it has the same sort of, the Stewart Systems does have a sort of jelly feel to it, a bit similar to this. So it's like getting blue tack off a wall. You know, you just sort of be able to rub it with this. So I'll cut that up on the bandsaw. But yeah, found one of those. I'm going through my Stewart Systems notes, writing down the applicable things. This is my list of things to do prior to covering. I need to just pause and make sure that I've done all those things, like drill the holes. Sounds simple, but you could forget to drill the holes, do a nice covering job, and then you've snookered yourself. The temperatures, this is a great Stewart Systems Bible, if you like. So everything I do, I've got the other book over there, the AC 4313, I think it is. You can find your information pretty much everywhere. You know, note, do not wet sand, dry sand only. So the process is going to be glue the fabric on, shrink it down, reinforcement strips, fill it with Eco Bond, this crappy aqua colour you'll get to see. 3 coats, 3 cross coats, so north, south, east, west is 1 coat. So 3 of those of Eco Fill, which is a grey substance, with a sand in between with Scotch-Brite. Same will go for the fuselage. So 3 coats of that. The olive drab will go over the grey. It's a dark grey colour, similar to that cabinet over there, the Eco Fill. So the olive drab will go over that, no worries. The lighter colour, I may have to spray white, or probably not much point. I'll just do 2 coats, 2 or 3 coats. So it's going to have a coat of the initial Eco Bond, 3 coats of Eco Fill, probably 2 coats of, let's call it olive drab, the green, and then a white roundel, what are we up to, 5 coats, then a layer of blue or red. So it's 6 coats in some spots it'll be. So that's the plan. Anyway, let's move on. Alright, so one last thing before we start the covering process. I need to grind up some steel. Got my pieces here. Make up some tangs for the fuel tank. A little stop for the end of my, I've got some sectioned, this is going to be a foot rest. So there's no real science to this. I'll put the old ASIC up there, and I'm going to make it that big. But, stretch the hammies. First of all, I'll coat the end, because that's the end I can have 2 or 3 goes at if I want, and then I'll cut it square to length. What I'm doing is I do all the prep for the welder, get the pieces ready and all marked and clamped, take it up there, and he just does the rat-a-tat-tat, and hopefully that's enough. It's pretty dear, this stuff, chrome moly. So I'll rip into that now, so I don't want sparks and that flying around when I do get time for my covering. So we'll cut these out, see how that turns out. Alright guys, I think I might be off to buy a new GoPro, to be honest. This one's playing up a bit. However, I think that's a wrap for this week. It's Friday afternoon. Might be Palmer in a pot time. We are ready to cover. Fuselage, I made up those tabs. I'm not too sure. I'll give you a look at that. So my foot peg, ready for the welder with a little end cap and some tabs to go onto the fuselage. I've prepped the areas, taken the paint back off my fuselage that I tried not to scratch, and then I hit it with 80 grit. And we'll get some tabs under here. Thanks to those guys that helped me with what they've done on their installation. So fuselage is looking good. Bench is looking good. I dug out my test piece that I've pulled off the fabric previously just to check. I've got these offcuts that are just slightly too small, but that's okay. I'll cover 3/4 of it, it's just not wide enough. The main reason I'm going to do that, bit of practice, but also I'm going to whack the iron at full heat just to make sure I can't possibly burn the fabric, or work out where, my new $7 iron, how much abuse this stuff will take. That's medium, I believe, and this is light or thin or something. So I have a little bit of a play with that. I don't want to cut some offcuts off of that, because knowing the kit, I'm probably down to the last inch. It'd be disappointing to be that much short when the time comes to cover a wing panel. So there you go guys, another week done. We're looking pretty good. Join me next time, and we're going to cover these the flight controls. I'll get the fuselage down. I won't film much of that, but get the fuselage down to the welders. I'll put it on my buggy and just walk it down there. It's probably about 500 metres. Then once I get my covering technique sorted out, we'll cover the fuselage, side, bottom, sides, top. I've got a tent sitting at home for me. My phone just told me the tent's arrived. Best $100 you'll ever spent, I reckon, the 6x3 marquee. I'll put the tent up. It'll just give me a nice clean area to paint, prep, mask and all that sort of stuff. I've still got the lights left over. They're up underneath the Super Socroli aircraft up there. They've got a bit of overspray on them. I might have to hit those, see how the plastic goes. I'll hit them with some thinners maybe and try and clear up the lenses. But that's where we're at. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you on the next one, guys.